Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking the time to attend. I am Aisyah Firlita Fauziana with my colleague Novitriani, Khairul Arifin Saifullah, Triat Mojo Aji Wijaya, Himes Fitra Yuda, Suherman Dwi Nuryana, and Muhammad Burhanuddin from Geological Engineering, Faculty of Art and Energy, Universitas Trisakti, Jakarta, Indonesia. Today we are going to share some insight and ideas about morphometric analysis for sustainable river management, a case study of Ciujung Watershed, Banten, Indonesia. In this presentation, we would like to present first introduction, second research methodology, the third is result and discussion, and the fourth is conclusion. For the introduction, Ciujung Watershed is the most extensive watershed in the Banten province with an area of 2,190.5 km square. The watershed covers the area of Serang Regency, Lebak, and the eastern part of Pandeglang, Banten province. And Ciujung Watershed has an important role as an important water source for the study area. This is the land use map of Ciujung Watershed. Along with the rapid development of the region, population growth, and infrastructure, it is necessary to gain in-depth knowledge of the characteristic of the Ciujung watershed with the morphometric analysis. It is expected by knowing this characteristic, the management action can be taken in the Ciujung watershed area to optimize the use of the river as a water source and prevent potential floods or landslide around the river. So this morphometric study of the water source can be used as a recommendation in spatial planning in the Ciujung watershed and to find out the potential disasters such as flooding and mass wasting that can be caused. In this research, we use the method morphometric analysis. The morphometric analysis here are remote sensing method. This method based on DEMNAS data and using QGIS software. The parameters we use include the watershed area, watershed shape, bifurcation ratio, and the last is drainage density. Okay, this is a geological map of study area and also the slope map of Ciujung watershed area. From the geological map, we can see that Ciujung watershed is covered by tertiary edge rocks in the southern or upstream part of the watershed. While in the southern part, namely the middle and downstream of the watershed, it is generally covered by quaternary and alluvial edge deposit. From the slope map of the Ciujung watershed area indicates steep condition in the upper part of river, especially in the southern and western regions, while towards the middle and downstream, the slope become more gentle. Result and discussion. The first parameter we use is watershed area. In Ciujung watershed is divided into 14 sub-watersheds, as we can see here, and at the table and also at the picture of map. Okay, the second parameter is watershed shape. According to Sosro, Darsono, and Takoda in 2003, calculating the watershed shape coefficient can be done by comparing the watershed area with the square of the main river length. The watershed is divided into 4 types. The first is bird feeder, the second is radial, the third is parallel, and the last is complex. And this is the table of classification of sub-watershed shape. The most of watershed shapes are radial and parallel in the study area. And the characteristic of this watershed shape has a relatively large water discharge at the meeting point of the tributaries. So it has the potential to cause flooding in the meeting point or downstream area of the sub-watershed. Okay, the third parameter is bifurcation ratio. The bifurcation ratio or river branch ratio is the number of river flows for each order, summed with river flows of a higher order. This ratio can be obtained using this equation. And from the table, we can see that according to Verstappen, at the 1983, this area is deformed. The next parameter is drainage density map of Ciujung watershed. From the table, the results show that the sub-watershed has a very rough to rough drainage density, which indicates that the study area is composed of rocks that are resistant and also easily eroded. It can be interpreted that the level of erosion occurring in the Ciujung watershed is quite high, especially in areas underlined by young volcanic deposit at the northern. Okay, from our explanation above, we can take summary into the 4 points. The first is Ciujung watershed is divided into 14 sub-watershed, and the shape of Ciujung sub-watershed in general is radial and parallel. The character of this watershed shape is that it has relatively large water discharge at the meeting point of the tributaries. The second is based on the bifurcation ratio. We can conclude that in general, the Ciujung watershed area is deformed. This indicates that the watershed system has undergone morphological changes that control the branching and the pattern of the existing river. This deformation is not influenced by tectonics only, but can also be influenced by exogenous process that changes the morphology of the Ciujung watershed. The third the third conclusion is the calculation of drainage density produce a very rough value. This indicates that the research area is composed of rock that are resistant and also easily eroded. The last, based on the parameters of watershed shape, RB and GD, the meeting area of the river branches, the main river, and the area of around the downstream of the river is very potential for flooding due to the high water discharge, especially in the rainy season, and siltation of the river due to the accumulation of sediment from the erosion of the upstream area. Okay, from the conclusion we have brought, we can give a several suggestions to reduce the risk of flooding downstream. We can do the following measures that may be implemented. The first is watershed management. With the watershed management, we can involve upstream land conservation, such as vegetation planting or erosion control to reduce sedimentation and erosion. And the second is erosion control. We can do building erosion control structures, such as terrace, or planting strong vegetation along the river to reduce erosion and sedimentation. The third is river deepening and cleaning. We can involve regularly removing sedimentation to maintain the river's flow capacity. The fourth is water management. And the fifth is embankment and channel construction. The sixth is land use regulation. And with land use regulation, we can review and regulate land use patterns to reduce flood risk, including avoiding development in flood-prone areas. The seventh is community empowerment. We can educate and engage communities in water conservation and river management to increase awareness of flood risk. And the last is early warning system. We can implement an early warning system to notify residents downstream of potential flooding so they can take preventive measures. That's all our presentation. I'm truly thankful for the opportunity to share this insight with you. Thanks for your attention.